Hey everybody, what's going on? We are here with some element fission. We have the element crafting event. It is for Fire Nat 4s, and I've seen a lot of people asking who is worth going after in this event. So I thought we'd run through, and I would try to give you a real quick rundown of all the Fire Nat 4s and sort of my thoughts on where you should place them in your priority list for if you're going for them. I will say off the bat, the Fire Gunslinger, if you are new to the game and you have not progressed through heavy metal far enough yet, when you clear stage 8, I believe, after stage 8, there is a training stage. And once you complete that training stage, you get Fire Gunslinger for free. So he is basically Verd from Summoner's War if you're coming over from there and you're a newer player. But you will get him for free. So I would not recommend going after him in this event, okay? The Fire Sky Police, pretty good tanky damage dealer. She has this built-in counterattack that can't be oblivioned, so the only way to stop this from happening would be to crowd control her. And it can be nice. She can hit surprisingly hard, and skilled up, if she has the accuracy, she's going to land this defense down on units that she's able to land it on with the accuracy. And that could be a really horrible interruption. That counterattack defense down can really set somebody up on her team to do some work. It can also set her up to do some work. She also has self-buffing defense and immunity, and a pretty nice little A3 here. She's good. She's really good in airship wars, guild wars. Not quite as good in arena, but it's fine, fairly straightforward. Yeah, decent little guild war unit, okay? Not bad at all. Similar with her, kind of a decent little guild war unit. She got a really nice A3. It's an AoE strip with a 3-turn defense buff for all allies, and as well as just being a 3-hitter, right? So you get some multi-hits here, gives her some death lab potential. She's got a decent heal with a turn meter fill-up on the A2. Pretty handy unit. Can be nice to pair with like your dome fighters, other tanky units. She can be a nice one to pair with a Sky Police, honestly. She's got a good defense lead for Guild War. Kind of the same thing. Pretty good in Guild Wars. Decent potential in Death Lab. Potentially some utility in the Abyss a little later on. But yeah, fine. She's fine unit. This is, I think this is Draco from Summoner's War. He's basically one of the Brownie Magicians if you're coming over from Summoner's War and that means anything to you. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool little unit. AoE defense down that won't glance, which means it's going to be fairly reliable as long as you have the accuracy. Also, no chance to proc, and then chance to give himself extra turns. So he basically just does a bunch of turn cycling. Increase action bar by 30% if your HP ratio is less than the enemy, and removes 1 buff if you have less buffs. Very simple, straightforward kit. He just turn cycling and stripping buffs and defense down. Again, nice little PvP unit, but beyond that, you're gonna see that a lot. A lot of these units are gonna be decent PvP, and then maybe some other things. Now he's got some utility in Death Lab as well. Got a 3-hitter on the A1 and a 3-hitter here. He could definitely be used in Death Lab. And then he's got this passive that cuts in. He's the Fire Lich from Summoner's War. Basically, that's what he is. He's fine. He's not bad. He can be nice on a defense to interrupt little RNG. Introduce into a defense. He's pretty nice in Death Lab. Fine. You know what I mean? So far, no one on this list I would say like they're top priority. They're super high priority, right? They're all good, but I don't think any of them are must-haves at the moment. This is the first one that we get into talking about potentially being a must-have. I would say especially if you have Fire Sphere Sage, that this guy would be a really nice addition to your account. If you look up Nepilepsy, he's got a video about the Fire Sphere Sage and some synergies that the unit has, and this is one of them. He's really good with the Fire Sphere Sage. Because he hits 5 times and ignores buffs, and then each buff on the target increases the damage by 50%. This is a pretty nasty skill, right? It's not ignore defense, but it is a lot of defense. So if they have defense buff, if they have immunity, whatever it is they have, he doesn't care. It's like the buffs aren't there when he's hitting them, and the more they have, the more damage he does. By 50% is pretty substantial. This is nice. This is a pretty nice nuke. We've got the standard Bookworm A2 with the speed down and attack down, and incurable in the A1. Solid unit, can be a very good nuker in the arena. And again, if you've got Fire Sphere Sage, I would strongly consider picking this unit up because together they're just disgusting. And I'm not going to go into the details about it. If you want all the details about that, you can go look up Nepilepsy's video. He covers all of that. But this is the first one that I would say is like, even if you don't have Sphere Sage, to be clear, that's still a really good A3. But if you do, I would say absolutely must have. So very, very good quality unit here. Fire Ninrat is the Fire Ninja, and he's about as useful. You know what I mean? It's there's some stuff you can do with him. He's fine. He's fine. But it's more of like, do you like this kind of stuff? Do you like this kind of RNG in your PvP teams? You know, he's fine. I don't know that I would necessarily recommend him, but whatever. Here we hit another very premium, very quality Fire Nat 4. This is one I would strongly consider you give some thought to. He's very, very helpful for the Abyss. Some people are starting to use him, and I'm seeing him on defenses more and more lately. All of the robots are pretty good, and Fire is no exception. We have an Arena lead, which, again, I wasn't seeing him a lot in PvP until very recently, and I have not really had him cause me any issues in PvP. He really shines in the Abyss. He's particularly good, I'm sorry, in the Fortress, in the Mental Fortress. He's pretty good to build around in there. And the reason is, we have action bar increase, 2-turn immunity, 1-turn speed up, 1-turn attack up. He will hurt himself and put a burn on himself when he uses this skill, but this is very strong. So the idea is you make him faster than the boss in Mental Fortress. He sets your team up with immunity, turn meter boost, and all that. And then you've got enough support on the team so that he doesn't kill himself using that skill. On the A2, we have a decent heal with cooldown reduction for all allies. And you can get that down to a 3-turn cooldown. And then here, got a little bit of a buff strip on the A1. So very good support unit. Pretty solid initiator as well. Again, can be used in the arena. Base speed is okay enough. So he can be a good booster. He sets you up with speed up and attack up. He's actually not a bad pair with the Dark Bookworm, who I pulled recently. That's just sort of a random thing to throw out if you have him, because Dark Bookworm gives himself one of the 3 buffs he doesn't have, speed up, attack up, or crit up. So this robot takes care of speed up and attack up, which means Dark Bookworm will crit up himself, and then he'll get his passive effect for having all 3 buffs. So that's just, again, just a random little synergy. But he's very good. Another one of the, like, I would say if you don't have this unit, strongly consider picking up this unit. Because even if you're in the earlier game, eventually you are going to graduate your way into Mental Fortress, and he's just going to be so nice to have. He's just going to be very handy to have in there. Fire Gunslinger we talked about. I don't necessarily recommend that you pick him up because you're going to get him for free. Fire Bombman. He is fine. He's fine. I don't know that I'm a big fan. I think he might be the least interesting of all the Bombermen to me. The passive is kind of funky, but I just feel like he would be hard to use. I don't think I would recommend picking up this guy unless he's just one of the last ones you don't have and you want to try some out with him. I'm not particularly impressed with him. Fire Ghost Captain. We have a pretty good speed lead here. We have an AoE, speed down, and decrease action bar. That's a lot of action bar reduction. That's a lot. Every hit is 50%, and he hits 3 times. That's a lot of reduction, okay? We have a 4-hitter with the defense down, random enemies, and then here, attack an enemy and deal less damage to other enemies around. This is in essence like the is it Magic Knight? Is that what they're called in Summoner's War? Where they hit a single target with the A1 and then everybody else gets hit. So the pirates are real popular for like PvP with stun sets, right? Because they have potential to stun everybody with this A1. Really nice. Got a lot of utility here in this A3. I think pretty solid unit all around. I've heard people have successfully used this unit in some PvP situations. Also, obviously, any dungeon where you can control turn meter, going to be pretty handy. And if you can get him in a bash set, you can control your enemies fairly easily. Pretty solid unit. Pretty solid. I would still say take Robot over Pirate, but definitely one worth considering. Fire Puppet. I cannot stop pulling the Fire Puppet lately. I do not know what the deal is, but anyway, evens the HP ratio. of a target enemy and the lowest HP ally. Afterwards, inflict defense down to the enemy and foresight. Now, foresight means the next time you get hit, the enemy's going to glance. Well, it says it right there. So 2 stacks of foresight is pretty nice. Here we've got single target cleanse, heal, and immunity, and absorb action bar and sleep. Fine unit. Fine unit. Can probably be used very intentionally in Guild War offense. It's a good unit. Not someone that I think you should prioritize at the moment. Fire Annihilator is also a really good unit. I like this unit a lot, but I use it very specifically, and I use it for one thing, and we'll talk about what that is. All right, we've got a crit lead here for fire teammates. We have a full turn meter fill up, and this has attack up and defense up, depending on who he's boosting, which is really nice. It means you can run this unit. You can build this unit, and then without having to change anything, run them with whoever you're trying to beef up. I run this unit with defensive damage dealers, but you very well can run them with an attacker as well, because if the unit has higher attack, he's going to attack buff them. If they have higher defense, he's going to defense buff them. We've got an AoE blind, and then we've got dots on the A1, and it also ignores buffs. So not a huge deal, right? Not necessarily a huge deal, but nice. It'll ignore defense buffs. It'll ignore immunity. It'll get some dots up. It's not bad. It's fine. But the real bread and butter for the Fire Annihilator is this A3. I use this unit in Guild Wars, and I run Fire Dome Fighter and Tree Dome Fighter. And depending on the situation that I've taken the team into, will dictate who I decide to boost. But that's what I do. I run them with my defensive damage dealers. But again, you can set this unit up with another speed booster, and then like a really, really strong tree Bookworm, for example, and then he can boost your Bookworm, and that could be fine. So very particular, very specific kind of unit. But if you're looking for something like that for a Guild War offense, then pretty good option, pretty solid option, right? Fire Wisp Catcher, the poor Fire Wisp Catcher. This poor unit, man. There's something here. There's something here with this unit, but it's just kind of tricky, all right? So we've got some turn meter knockback on the A1. We've got an AoE with lifesteal built in. And then the Wisp Catchers have this, like, for targets with a lower level than yourself thing, which I just don't think is very meaningful, because that really limits, like, what he's gonna, like, he'll be a decent campaign farmer, I guess, you know what I mean? But, like, at a certain point, you hit an area where, like, all the bosses are higher level, so that's not doing you any good. Anytime you do PvP, everybody's going to be the same level, so it's not doing you any good. So I just don't really know what the idea was behind this. It seems like the thought was to set them up to be farmers, and it makes sense with them being Wisp Catchers, but I just don't feel like the kits are very conducive to that. There's better options. There's better options for campaign farmers than this. So I don't really understand. Here we have decreased target max HP by 30% of the damage dealt. When attacking enemies with tree attribute, the critical damage is increased by 100%. If your attack lands as a critical hit, remove 1 debuff. All right. So this is cool. Again, this is why I say there's something here with this unit. Maybe in the Abyss, maybe paired with a Water Nurse, you could really load that crit damage up real heavy. But it just seems very specific and very niche, and I haven't done any testing with it, so I don't know. I just don't think that this unit has a place in the game just yet. Again, without some very specific attention and some very specific setup, I just don't know what you would do with this unit. Maybe if someone's running an all-tree defense in PvP, you could come in and potentially nuke them, but like very specific. I think it's just very specific, so not someone I would prioritize. Fire Assassin I recently built and played around with. Fun unit, doesn't change a ton for you unit, okay? So if you're looking for somebody fun to play around with, this is your guy. He's got a very interesting little kit. We attack the target and apply 2 turn damage over time to both yourself and the target. It can't be resisted. Consume 50% of your current HP, then attack the target. The lower your HP, the more defense is ignored. 2 turns of shield based on 50% of the damage dealt, so pretty big hit here. And then this passive, healing effects received by yourself are doubled, while all other healing effects received are halved. Additionally, based on the number of units on the field, including fallen units with health at or below half, Each increases your speed by 20 and damage by 20%, with boss units providing double the bonus. Now, I tested this recently. This will not work in Spreader. My thought was that it would, in Spreader, you kill the minions and the passive just continues to stack, but the minions don't count because when you kill the minions, they disappear from the battlefield. So I asked the dev, and the way it was explained to me was that he scans the battlefield and units that are still on the battlefield. So that would be like dead enemies in PvP or allies, basically, is what that means. Any of those units present with health below 50% count. So, kind of a bummer. I thought he was going to kind of be like the tree gunslinger, like of the team for the tree abyss type bosses, but it doesn't quite work like that. He's still fine. He still does pretty decent damage. I have used him in PvP a few times as well, fairly successfully. He is fun. He is a fun unit to mess around with, but not necessarily a game changer. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Not a bad pick, but definitely just a fun pick. Fire Tree Bear. Tree Bear. I call them all Tree Bear because they're all just Tree Bear in my head. Fire Bear. All the bears are really good. Tree is excellent. Fire is excellent. Water's pretty good. I like water, I think, more than most people do. Light is insane, and dark is now really good too. Very simple, but very cool unit. Very PvP oriented. Very much worth having, okay? We have a defense down on the A1. Little lifesteal built in. Damage based on his max HP. He gives himself crit up, AoE. If he kills anyone, he gets himself unyield. And then here, all of them have different passives. His is all the damage and healing he takes before he gets his turn doesn't affect him. So his health bar is not going to move, no matter how much you hit him or how much he's healed, until after his turn. So, which is, after the turn is key there. So if you do 1,000,000 damage to him, he's still going to get to hit you if you don't stun him. And he deals additional damage based on 30% of the accumulated damage and healing received, which is important to note. So again, if you do 1,000,000 damage to him, but you don't stun him, and then he gets his turn and AoEs you, he's very likely going to wipe your whole team out before he dies. And if he kills your team before the end of his turn, he still wins. So he's very funky, right? There's some very tricky ways you can build him that make him very problematic. And there's some pairings that he has that make him very problematic. I use him in my arena defense, and when I wake up and decide to participate in Rush Hour, I finish top 100 fairly easily, and he's on my defense. And he's on a few of the offenses that I like to use as well. Very, very, very good, very strong PvP unit. One I would highly recommend that you grab if you are interested in doing PvP. He's good he's really nice in arena and can be very useful in Guild War as well. Seems to be kind of strictly a PvP unit, okay? So keep that in mind. And then the last one is the Fire Ripper, who I finally pulled. He was the last Elemental Nat 4 that I didn't have. I finally pulled him. At the start of the turn, 20% chance to remove all debuffs and gain 200% critical damage during this turn. For each debuff you have, the chance increases by 5%. Additionally, your attacks will recover HP to the ally with the lowest HP ratio. So he's got lifesteal, but for an ally built in, basically, right? Here, attack the enemy and increase your action bar by 50%. Damage based on your speed. After using other abilities during your turn, 30% chance to automatically cast this ability, which is, again, very nice. And it's something that can't be oblivioned, which is very handy. And then here we've got an incurable with a 2-hitter. So a pretty cool unit. I don't have a lot of personal experience with him. I think Juby has done a couple of videos with him. Maybe for heavy metal, I don't really know, but that might be worth looking up. He seems like a pretty solid unit. I've heard a lot of good things about him. Definitely seems like somebody worth being higher up on the priority list. And seems like mostly to me anyway. I mean, he could be pretty decent in PvP as well. He might be a pretty good all-around unit. So, yeah, very, very solid, very solid. So, as a recap, you almost can't go wrong necessarily. One of the nice things about this game is that most of the units in the game are all usable. They're all good and all usable somewhere in some way. I would say that the like priority units, the ones to really consider getting if you don't have here, would be Fire Bear, right behind me here, the Fire Bear, the Fire Engineer Robot, and the Fire Bookworm. I would say those are like the top 3 premium Fire Nat 4s right now. These first 4 are all really good options. I would say at least for things in their current state, the way things are right now, based on what I know, I would say probably stay away from the Fire Wisp Catcher. I just don't really see a lot going on with the Fire Bomber. And the Fire Ninrat seems fine. Again, I've seen him on a few defenses, and he's kind of annoying sometimes, but it's just like, I don't really know what he's going to change for you. You know what I mean? I don't really know what's going to change for you. So those would be the bottom 3 that I would say I just don't really know what you would do with. And my thoughts on like the top 3 or 4 that you should consider. But that's a quick look at everybody. So hopefully this helps you out in figuring out who it is you want to grab. If you've already got everybody, then I guess just grab what you need for skill ups. That's probably what I'll do. I'll probably grab myself a bear skill up or something. And that's that. So again, hope it was helpful. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one.